There we go. G'day guys, how you going? Welcome back to another live video. Seems to be enough questions so far for me to do one every Monday. Sad Steve, you don't have any questions, but there are plenty for me to answer, which is good. I like your new logo, by the way, mate. Definitely looks good. I'll have to chuck one up on the wall there next to the old one. Only the original fans remember this one, don't they? Yeah, that's true. First here. I'm not sure, everyone might be busy tonight, I think. I know that Mick was having a bit of troubles there with his back or something. And I haven't heard from anyone else yet, so that's alright. Give it a quick minute and then we'll jump right in. Might be in for a quiet one today, so that gives me more time to answer the questions. So there are about 25 questions to be answered today, so a really good response there. If you guys want to ask your questions again next week, maybe you're watching the replay of this, follow us on Instagram at Vikings4x4, and I put up a story sometime during the week where you can ask your questions to be answered on this very live stream, so that's good. Yeah, I'm happy for that, Steve. I'll put one up on the wall here, one out in the back of the truck for cooking videos. There's been quite a few cooking videos come up recently, actually. Right, so we're dead on 7 o'clock now, so I suppose I should start answering the questions now. The first question that I have here, it was actually from Mick, I think, is when am I getting a haircut? And the answer to that simply is not anytime soon. I have money to spend on the car, not money to spend on my hair, so yep. So next question after that is, what brand of rooftop tent did you go with? So I've made it known for a while now that I was choosing to go with the Drifter Stockton Wildland 1.2 rooftop tent because I felt like that fit on the car perfectly. It was nice and slim, and it was only 57 kilograms, I think. That's all they weigh, which is really light. Now I have got it. I haven't set it up on the car yet, but I have unfolded it out, and it looks like it's going to fit perfectly on the car there. It goes well with the setup as well. See, some of the rooftop tents that you buy, the ones that kind of open up like a triangle, the ladder comes out the back, and that wouldn't work well for me because I've got the 270 awning. With the Wildlands, it comes out the side, so that works perfect for my setup. Yeah, Lockie, just got a bit sick of it, mate, you know. Yeah, you're right. I'm not used to it. I haven't been the old baby face for years, mate. It's yeah, it's a bit weird. All right. Up next, what fridge are you running? So I'm running an old Waco 80 litre. It's a dual zone fridge and freezer. Goes right down to -18. Has those two little things you can slide in and out and make the whole thing a freezer. You can section it off. Hey Ed, how you doing there, mate? Good to see you in here nice and early this time. So yeah, that fridge is old. It's probably 2006 or 7. We bought that fridge, so the better part of 15 years, I'd say. That has been with us. It's very old, but it's still going well. All right, so what are the next upgrades for the Pajero? Well, currently at the moment, I've got 3 things kind of happening all at once. So I've got the brand new dual battery system about to go in. Got the rooftop tent about to go on. I've got new roof rails and roof racks coming on the way, ready to go on. But after that has all gone together, I'll be getting probably a snorkel, I would say, is the next thing on the list. After the snorkel is done, I feel like everything else, maybe a winch. I mean, I don't feel like I really need a winch. So after the snorkel's done, I feel like all of my main mods are finished for the car, and then I can just, all the other things are kind of minor things. You know, maybe I'll see something online that I like and chuck it on there. So yeah, a lot of things coming together at the moment. We've got dual battery system, the new one coming, roof racks, rooftop tent, snorkel, everything's kind of all happening at once. So Unpro, how you going there, mate? Good to see you here. So, what's the first destination you're heading to post lockdown? Well, that really depends, you see, because of where I live. I may end up getting out before my mates, and so I may end up having a solo trip. So the first group trip that I'm sure that we're going to hit is probably straight back to Nunes up near Lithgow for a weekend with the boys. I'd love to do that, and I'm sure they would too. But in terms of solo trip by myself, it's either going to be straight back down the bridle track, or maybe out to Glen Davis, out around that area. I'd love to head back out there and camp. I actually discovered a couple of campsites down way back behind Glen Davis there when I was there a few weeks ago. Those videos are coming up on the channel. There's honestly an endless amount of places that I can check out. But I'm thinking probably back down the bridle track. I'd love to go back down there. I'm actually thinking there, Unpro, that I'm going to go with the plastic snorkel. To be honest, I don't think a Stano would suit my car very well. I think that look of the plastic safari snorkel would suit the setup a lot better. Plus, if I damage it, it's a little bit cheaper to fix than a Stano. But yeah, as much as I like them, I feel like the safari snorkel is probably what I'm going to go with. So what bucket list destination will you head to first? I'd say the biggest bucket list destination that is on my mind is Fraser Island, because we were going to go there in our end of year trip this year, but unfortunately we're really crossing our fingers, just hoping that we'd even be able to travel within New South Wales with the restrictions going on now and the amount of daily cases we're getting. We're really actually wondering whether we're even going to get to do that. Hey Mick, how you going, mate? Thanks for tuning in. I'm surprised to see you here. Yeah, Steve, a solid axle swap on the 37s may be on the cards in 10 years when the card is falling apart. Never know. Never know what I'll end up doing. You know, owning this car is like an endless game. You know, I didn't think I'd do half of the mods that I've done to it. Here we are. We're still going forward. But at least in my mind, I do have an end goal. It's not like it's an endless kind of thing. I do have an end goal. So yeah, up next, where has Jared been? Well, Jared lives in Sydney, and I live out here in Midwest New South Wales. So he's still around, but he can't actually get out here to come on any of the trips with us. Really, it's very difficult for him to at the moment because of how strict the restrictions are down there in Sydney. But as soon as he can be, he will be back here out with us. We're planning a fishing trip as soon as we can to get up there and get out there and fish. So what's happened to the Bravo? Okay, so you haven't seen much of the Bravo because again, that's in Sydney and I am not. We actually did have a few issues with it after our trip to Lithgow. So it did survive that trip to Lithgow, which was great. But then due to the fact that it was sitting for a little while after we got back, it lost pressure in the fuel pump, which is weird, and blew a hose out of that. And so at the moment, it's kind of up in the air. We really don't know what to do with it. We're planning on trying to get the transfer case fixed, because those of you who have been paying attention will know that it did that whole Lithgow trip in two-wheel drive because the transfer case didn't work or something like that. The front wheels weren't spinning, the rear wheels were, so it had the two-wheel drive that whole trip. So the Bravo is still around, but just having a few complications with it. That's why you haven't seen it. So how long have you been doing YouTube videos for? A little while, mate. Just over a year, I'd say, is when the channel, I really started to invest myself into the channel. and I switched from doing home videos to actually creating content for an audience. So I'd say about 12 months ago when we went to Diamond Head Beach up there near Foster in the Crowdy Bay area, that is where YouTube kind of went from home videos to real serious for the audience kind of videos. I started doing them a little bit more professionally. I wish our father-son trip. We wish we could do that, but yeah, Dad's down in Sydney at the moment. Can't get up here either. Where was your first camping trip to? So my first camping trip, well, it kind of depends. So my first camping trip by myself with Jared was to Euroka Campground in Glenbrook, up there in the Blue Mountains National Park, just down behind Jellybean Pools. Really awesome little spot. It's actually been one of the spots we've had the most encounters with nature on, and we've had a couple of dingo encounters up there on that campground. It's a really awesome little lively place and so close to civilization, which is a wonder for a place like that. But the first actual camping trip, I was probably like 1, and we went up to Fraser Island. Yeah, Steve, looking at changing my name to that, I reckon, at some point, hey? So do you prefer the truck lifted or at its stock level? I definitely prefer it lifted. The only thing that I don't like about it after it's been lifted is the fuel consumption. So the truck is not geared for the 33s and the bigger lift, so it revs out a lot more. I've actually got something kind of coming up soon. Got a throttle controller on the way that will hopefully be able to sort out the turbo lag issue that I'm having. So the issue that I'm having now is turbo lag. The turbo is taking a lot longer to kick in, so the engine is revving out a lot more to get it up to speed and just up to that into torque range, and it's just taking a lot longer. So hopefully with this new throttle controller that we've got on the way, I'll be able to sort out the turbo lag issue and actually have it fixed. So to simply answer that question, I prefer the truck lifted much more than I do stock. It looks a lot better and everything like that. Would you consider a throttle controller? Well, yeah, yes, actually, I have got one on the way at the moment to put in the car. I've never had one before, and so I'm really keen to see the difference. I hope it makes a good difference and it just doesn't blow the average fuel consumption up even higher than it already is. It's up about 4 litres per 100 from the stock level to the new lifted level. So I hope that this, I'm not expecting miracles with the throttle controller, but I just hope that maybe it brings it down just a little bit. Are you going to fit a snorkel? Yeah, well, I answered this question sort of before. Yes, the snorkel is next on the list after we get the rooftop tent fitted and the new dual battery system in the back there. So what 12-volt system are you going with? So originally I was talking about going with that kick-ass 12-volt system with the 170 amp hour slimline. Now I have actually, just last week I managed to snag a really good deal, I feel, on an Enerdrive Australia 100 amp hour lithium battery with a 40 amp charger for the same price as the kick-ass 170 amp hour with their charger included as well. So getting a much better, well, I wouldn't say much better product, but I'm getting a lithium battery for the same price as an AGM battery. I definitely still like the look of the kick-ass product, and if I was going to recommend any AGM product, I'd probably go to kick-ass, but I seen that opportunity there, had to go the lithium. So we're going an Enerdrive Australia 100 amp hour lithium battery with a 40 amp charger in there. I'll also be running 180 watt monocrystalline solar panel on the top of the rooftop tent as well, so we'll definitely have a lot of power there, and I'm really excited about this one because I mean the old battery was only 100 amp hour lithium, sorry, not lithium, 100 amp hour AGM, and we got it at the same time we got that fridge, maybe a little bit later. So it's really old and it's starting to die, so I'm so keen to actually be able to go off grid for a few days without having to worry about power. Yeah, mate, I'm unpro. I'm looking at getting an exhaust at some point. It is on the cards, and I'd say after I get the snorkel, that's probably what I'd look at. My only issue is finding a local shop that can fit it because of the way, obviously, I'd have to cut out a couple of mufflers and stuff out of an exhaust if I got one. I'm looking at going a 3 inch all the way through just with the cat and maybe one muffler or no mufflers on a high flow cat. So that's what I'd like if I got an exhaust. All the aftermarket Pajero exhausts that I've seen come with like the high flow cat and then two mufflers. So I'd have to get someone to cut those two mufflers out and just weld in, bits of pipe there to make it a 3 inch stainless all the way through. That's the plan, at least anyway, if I do go an exhaust. So yeah, it's definitely on the cards there. What's your go-to fishing setup? Well, this question's not really suited for me. This would be a Jared question, but my rod is a Shimano Sienna HD 702, I believe. It's a nice little lightweight rod. Jared has a fair few rods and a fair few things. He's just got a brand new Shimano River Raider and Stradic combo. He's really keen to use that. He really wants you guys to see it, so keen to get out on a fishing trip as soon as we can. So what are your goals for your camera gear going forward? Well, interesting. I've got a few things that I'd like to do in the camera department. So I would really like to get a few more GoPros in there. Recently I've had trouble with my DSLRs, obviously breaking them. Like I dropped one into a river mistakenly. It was by accident, and the other one's having issues connecting to its battery pack. So I was looking at pushing for having one GoPro, the GoPro 9 that I have now, set up with the Media Mod, having the Bluetooth mics on it there, and I've just got a tripod adapter that goes onto the tripod. So I was looking at switching over to the GoPro as kind of like my main camera. However, I would like to keep the DSLRs around for like videos where maybe we do cooking segments and stuff like that, or just maybe we need them at some point, even just normal photography. I'd like to keep them around for, but I'm starting to push forward, thinking about, well, they're going to bring out the GoPro Hero 10 in a couple of months, and if I set my GoPro 9 up to be a kind of like a vlogging rig like Steve has, and then have the 10, the brand new GoPro 10 as my like action shot camera, because I'm sure they're going to outdo the 9 somehow. The 9's a fantastic camera, but I'm sure they're going to outdo it with the 10. So then have the 10 as my action camera, kind of like my go-to for all that type of stuff. And if I need to, I can just pull the Media Mod off of the 9 if I need to use it for action shots. So that's what I feel like going forward, as well as I'd like to get a DJI Mavic Air 2. That's definitely my my go-to for a drone. I got to fly one the other week, and it was great. The fact that I could just have it in a little sachet, like little kind of like bum bag over your shoulder there, and it was so lightweight. The quality was much better to my old Phantom 3. And so even though the only thing that I am worried about with that drone after flying it is small, so obviously it won't handle as well in the wind as my Phantom did, and I do go to some beaches and stuff like that where it's fairly windy, but I'd like to also pretty much simplify it right down, the camera setup. So GoPros and nice compact drones like the Mavic Air 2, that's kind of what I want to have. So it's so easy, it doesn't take up much space. Like right now, the cameras take up a lot of space as well. So what's the next mod for the Pajero after 12 volt system? Sort of answered this one before. It's probably going to be a snorkel, and then after the snorkel, probably an exhaust. That's kind of what I'm looking at. And after that, I don't know, maybe a winch. So how much have you spent on the Pajero in the last 12 months? Well, to be honest with you, I could probably do a whole video on that in itself. I'd probably say in the last 12 months about 10,000. Just a rough estimate. Probably more than that, because lift, tires, rooftop tent, batteries, roof racks, everything like that, it all adds up. It's a fair bit, so that's a rough estimate there for you. Yeah, Steve, I'm looking forward to seeing how that new camera goes. Actually, a really nice looking camera, that one. What bar do you have fitted? It's ARB Deluxe bar. It's been on the car since pretty much brand new. We took the car out of the showroom straight to ARB, so that was in 2013. So yep, it's an ARB Deluxe bar, winch compatible. It's a very nice looking bar. It is color coded gunmetal grey to suit the car. So it's not a black bar, even though it's close to. It's gunmetal. Can you detail the job you did removing the spare tyre cover a little better? The video is hard to follow. So, okay, yeah, I agree with that. Kind of the video that I did, it was very hard to kind of detail the job after I'd already done it. I didn't think to film that particular job. So the two bolts you come out from in the back, and the tyre carrier then swings open, and then it basically got some side cutters, cut all the cable ties off, so all the wiring on there was a little bit was like hanging off, and the reversing camera is in this little socket there. I just unscrewed them two and popped that out, so all the wiring then, that pre-existing wiring that's in there, including the reversing lights and everything like that. Hi Free Fire, how you doing, mate? So all of those wires and stuff like that were then hanging down, including reversing camera and reversing lights. Then we just undid all the screws on that on the hinge, and there was one single bolt down there that didn't have a head. It was a really weird bolt. So I ended up just getting a drill and drilling straight through that bolt. And as soon as I drilled through that, the whole thing come off very easily. And so I left the two pieces of trim on either side, and then on eBay I ordered a number plate relocation kit. And so basically took the spare tire off, the bracket goes in behind the spare tire, and the spare tire goes on, and then the rest of the bracket goes in and it pokes out the number plate on it. And it was just as simple as getting one of the wires from the old reversing globe, snipping the globe off, and then connecting the wires to the new reversing light, soldering them together, or you can use a Deutsch connector to make it easier to access the spare tire on the tracks. And then once that's all connected, I just got a hinge bracket from Bunnings, screwed it on top of the light thing, and then put the reversing camera on. I just bent the bracket up and down until the reversing camera was in the same position as it used to be on the for the old one. So once that was done, obviously we just put the old spare tire carrier around the back. The hinge still goes in and out on the back there, so I do plan on using that for an aerial at some point. I don't know what, I just want to put something there so it looks all right. So that kind of hard to explain without actually doing it, but Mitsubishi don't make things easy to modify on these cars. It was a little bit annoying, but in the end it worked, and I think it looks fairly good. So how far off finishing the Pajero build are you, and what's next after it's done? I'd say we're probably, once all this stuff like that I've described in the video is done, I'd say we're about 90%. So once all these major components come in the next, I'd say 2 months, because obviously some of my things that I've ordered are on back order, so I'd say by the end of October we'd be 90% done. The rest of the things are just fiddly little things that I classify as non-essential. I don't urgently need them, or they weren't in my vision to begin with. So after the Pajero is done, to be honest, I don't know. I really feel like just sitting for a while and enjoying it and using it, and using the money that I spent on the car, getting out there and going on trips, and creating good content for you guys, upgrading the camera gear and stuff like that, just improving things here on YouTube. That's kind of all I really have. I don't plan on buying another car. I don't plan on anything like that. Maybe we'll work on the Bravo a little bit, but yeah, once the Pajero is done, it's kind of like a grey area. Alrighty. Have you considered an Android head unit? Yeah, I seen one on DenMonkey's channel a while back that I really liked. It was a little unit that goes in there, and what I liked about it was that you can get apps on it, so obviously you can have your maps and stuff. But just thinking out loud, when I was thinking of incorporating obviously Bluetooth monitoring for the battery system, you can put the app on your Android head unit to monitor your batteries at the same time. So I have considered that. Whether or not I'll do it or not really depends, because I was watching his install video, and you've got to take a lot of trim components out, and safe to say I'm not competent in doing that myself. I sort of have this limit of things that I'll do myself to the car, and then things that I'd step up and say, okay, someone needs to do that, because obviously the car wasn't cheap, and it's still a very good car, so I don't like fiddling too much myself. So, but I have considered an Android head unit, yes. How long until I buy a fully sick 21-foot off-road caravan? I don't know about 21 foot, Steve. If I'm going to buy any caravan, it's going to be a little one. Because I'm setting up the car to be kind of like a mobile setup, I don't know if I'd buy a big caravan. I'd buy a little caravan, kind of like a mobile office space if we ever got into the position where we could use it or something like that. But I'd say probably minimum 5 to 10 years if I ever did consider it. It'll probably end up boiling down to either buying a little caravan or something like that, or buying another four-wheel drive and adding it to the fleet, because I don't plan on selling the ones that we've got at the moment. So hard decision. Do you sell your shirts and hoodies? Yeah, we do. It's kind of a little bit of an iffy system, but we do have them available. We do have a website. It is operational, but the system that we use is it's an overseas system, so shipping times are fairly long. But yes, long story short, we do sell the shirts and the hoodies, the polo shirts and stuff like that. You're better off, if you're interested in buying one of those, to email us. The email link is on our channel, and sorting that out instead of going through the website, because it's a little bit haphazard at the moment. Yeah, Mick, I'm kind of the same. As much as I want to do it and I want to get involved and learn and do it myself, it's going to boil down to I'm going to be off grid for long periods of time, and I don't want to be relying on. I would definitely call myself inexperienced. You know, if I did a job and it's not done perfectly, and you know, we just seen the other week on Ford Drive 24/7 the back of one of their cars caught on fire because of an electrical system. So you know, if I do it myself, I kind of worry about those things, whereas I have a little bit of confidence in professional installs. So things, it really depends what it is. I will do some things myself, but there, like I said, there is a limit where I say, okay, I'm not going to do this. I need to pay someone to do this professionally. One, because I know it's going to probably look better and be neater. Two, I just want to have the confidence in whatever I'm getting installed that it's going to be done properly and I can rely on it. So what's your favorite local spot? It really depends what you consider local. Within an hour of here, it's a very hard pick between the Bridle Track or Goulburn River National Park. I've been to Goulburn River National Park more than I have been down the Bridle Track, and Goulburn River National Park seems to be more peaceful. So I'd probably say Goulburn River National Park, a Big River Campground, or Spring Gully. They're really good, but second choice, there's a nice little location that you guys would have seen at the end of my last video on the Bridle Track, right down by the Turon, right down the end there. Good little spot. So that would definitely be number 2. The reason why it's not number 1 is because I didn't camp there. I only drove past or drove down in there on that video, and then I drove out. So I'm going to say that one's probably going to take the top spot once I actually do camp there. But for now, it's probably the Big River Campground in the Goulburn River National Park. Yeah, definitely, Mick. All of my new gear that I'm going to be getting here, I'm not going to be installing it myself, but it'll definitely be all fused. Whoever I get to install it, I'll be making sure that I tell them to fuse everything, especially considering where it is going to be in that underwell compartment there, and it's going to be very hard to access if something goes wrong. Obviously, fire extinguisher will be in the car, and I'm also thinking about making some cutouts under the drawers so that if something does ever go wrong, I have ease of access to that area, because it is quite an expensive little setup that I'm going with, and I just want to make sure that it's all good. So this is the final question that we have here. So what's yours or Jared's go-to fishing spot? I did actually speak to Jared about this, and we've got two, really. So our favourite go-to fishing spot is Tuggerah Lake. Well, it used to be anyway, because of how close it was when we both lived down there in Sydney. It's still the same amount of distance for Jared, only an hour and a half, but for me now it's about 4 hours. But I would say that is our favourite go-to. Number two is in Brooklyn, so Mooney there under the highway, M1 highway bridge. There's a little boat ramp called Dirrabin Boat Ramp there, just off to the side. So if you're travelling from Sydney up towards the Central Coast, you go across the Hawkesbury River. It's a massive double bridge, and just off to the left there is Dirrabin Boat Ramp, and that for a long time that was our go-to spot because of how quick it was. 45 minutes for us, but we catch more fish at Tuggerah Lake, so that's why Tuggerah Lake is probably our favourite. But we have a lot of good memories down at Dirrabin Boat Ramp there in Mooney. We don't ever take the boat to Tuggerah Lake, but we always used to take the boat to Mooney. So my favourite is probably Mooney, and for that reason, and Jared's would probably be Tuggerah Lake because it catches more fish there. But they're very equal. So those are our go-to fishing spots. If you were to ask, the best fishing spot we've ever been to was down there on the south coast, down at Bateman's Bay, where we met Ray at, and we fished down there in that little pond. And my goodness, the amount of bream that we pulled out of that pond in an afternoon, easily like 25 bream between Jared and Ray down there on that Arvo. That was a good Arvo. He still talks about that Arvo all the time. So that's probably our favourite low fishing spot down there. Well, guys, that is going to do us for all the questions. So I'm actually really happy that I got through it in kind of like a timely manner, I would say, because there were quite a few. I'm happy with the response that they're all getting there on Instagram. Remember, guys, if you have questions that you want to ask, head over, follow us on Instagram at Vikings4x4 and get your questions in. Mick, I did answer your question. It was the first question that I answered. So if you want to see the answer to that, you skip back at the end. But unless anyone out there has any questions, we'll give it a few more minutes, and then that's probably going to do it for us. Make sure as well, this coming Friday, guys, there is the first ever cook-off video that we did. Myself, Mick, Steve, Unpro Adventures, Shad Donahue, and Grant from Four Wheeling in New South Wales, all in that one video. Cooking up a storm for you guys, as well as the Friday after. Coming up there will be a cook-off between me and Unpro Adventures again. So we're kind of doing these little cook-off videos just so we have something to do whilst we're all in lockdown. It adds a really great sense of community between us all here, so everyone can see. So if you guys have suggestions, what you guys want to see us cook up, make sure you drop them down below, and we'll be sure to chuck that into the competition. Of course, make sure it's realistic, because we're trying to mirror, say that we were at camp. We're not trying to, as much as in some of them, some of us may need to cook inside for ovens and stuff like that, but we're really trying to mirror camp cooking and dishes that we can cook at camp. So if you have any ideas, drop it down below. Yeah, Mick, we haven't done much freshwater fishing, and I have to say I'm really wanting to learn freshwater fishing. There's a nice spot down there at Dangerra Dam, down in the Yalwal circuit that I really want to go back to. And I don't know about if you can drop a boat in there, but it's you can definitely drop kayaks in there. Nice, nice little spot, and a lot of cool forward driving down there. I'm sure you've got a lot of stuff that we can learn. Well guys, if that is everything, I think we might have to just wrap this one up here. 37 minutes, quite a good time there for about 20 questions or so, which is really good. The next live stream will be on Wednesday, and on Wednesday I'm going to be redoing the live stream that I did on the Yalwal Adventures. So in the last time I tried to do that one, there was a lot of lag coming into the third episode. So now I've tweaked with the streaming software a little bit, and I think I've resolved the lag issue. So we'll give that one another go. So we've got all 3 episodes in one live stream. So that live stream will probably go for about an hour, starting 7 o'clock on Wednesday. So that'd be good. Yes, Steve, Windermere is literally like 10 minutes away. Good little spot. We have actually been there before. Love it out there. So there guys, I'll see you all on Wednesday, but make sure you also stay tuned for this Friday's video. It's going to be a really good one coming up with the cook-off. So I'm really keen for that. Thanks again to all that tuned in tonight, and to all who participated in that cook-up as well, guys. So remember, if you have any questions to ask for next Monday, make sure you head over to Instagram, and sometime this week I will pop up a little story where you guys can answer your questions. Alrighty guys, that's going to do us, and we'll see you in the next adventure.